All right, so something that I have realized after going to a lot of business conventions, a lot of masterminds, meeting up with a bunch of coaches, and just talking to a ton of people is basically all of us hate Instagram. Okay, now Instagram is a really good way to get clients. It's the second best, I'd say, behind YouTube, especially if you're a B2C coach. If you're B2B, LinkedIn's pretty good. But yeah, it's probably the second best behind YouTube. And one of the biggest reasons is because it is pretty good as a content platform, but you can actually message people. Like that's the main thing. You can do appointment setting on Instagram and you can actually message people. But the big problem with Instagram and the reason why so many coaches absolutely hate Instagram is they rely way too much on algorithms. And because of the fact that they rely on algorithms, what can happen is these little predatory, little parasitic douchebags can go around and mass report your Instagram account with a bunch of bots. And because of the fact that Instagram, and this actually applies to Meta and Facebook as well, because they're owned by the same company and they're both ran by our good friend, Mr. Zuckerberg, they'll all just like mass report your account. And they especially love to target coaches. Why do they love to target coaches? Because they know that coaches actually make money, because they know that high ticket is what makes money online. And they know that even if the coach's account isn't that big, it makes a ton of money. And so they will mass report these Instagram accounts to get them banned. And then they'll message you on Facebook or they'll get them suspended. And then they'll message you on the Instagram account if it's suspended, or on Facebook or whatever way that they know how to message you. And they'll be like, hey, I can help you get your account back. So it's this little cottage industry of these little parasites that will try to get you banned on Instagram. And the reason that I bring this up is because I had a client last year that I started working with. Actually, I have a lot of clients that I've worked with that have had this issue, where he was making really good money on Instagram. Like he was making $300,000+ a month. And when I first started working with him, he was ranging from 300 to 700,000 because he was on Instagram, but he was also on YouTube. He was making about the same amount of money on both platforms, a little bit more on YouTube. But the problem was his Instagram money was just so up and down all the time because his account would get suspended all the time for absolutely nothing. And this guy, I know he's a upstanding, great guy. He wasn't doing anything sketchy on Instagram, right? He's a super straight arrow type dude. And so he was not doing anything sketchy. So that he was getting mass reported by these little parasites, right? And then they would reach out to him and they'd be like, hey, we can get your account back for $5,000. And unfortunately, which happens to many people, they give into it. And when you give into it, they basically will do it every single month because they know that you're going to pay basically at that point, right? And so they're basically the firefighter and the arsonist all at once, right? They start fires so that they can then be the firefighter and put the fires out to justify their own existence. And because of the fact that Facebook and Meta relies too much on algorithms and human beings are not going to look at your profile unless you're like a really big Instagrammer or unless you have some type of insider information and stuff like that, they just get away with it, right? So many people that are big on Instagram are moving over to YouTube for this reason, because with YouTube, Google is a company that does care about customer service. They do care about their creators. And, you know, if something happens on YouTube, which usually it doesn't happen, but if something does happen, you can actually get a hold of an actual human being that will talk to you and help you out, right? And so that's why so many coaches that were making a lot of content and relying on Instagram, Facebook, you know, whether it's Facebook groups, Facebook kind of organic marketing where you add people, or, you know, Instagram organic marketing or Facebook ads or Instagram ads, all those coaches that were relying on Facebook, Meta, and Instagram are now moving over to YouTube because Facebook, Meta, and Instagram are not reliable. Imagine the terror of your entire business being based on a platform where they rely on an algorithm where some little parasite can just, you know, that has access to some bots can just mass report your account and your entire account gets taken down. And then you have to pay somebody or you have to know somebody inside of Meta, an employee, which by the way, I think the employees in many cases are actually in on it. The employees may even be running a lot of the biggest businesses and making a ton of money doing it. Um, and yeah, you're just at their beck and call. You're at their whim. Now, by the way, if you think I'm some type of conspiracy theorist on this, I know like people who run Instagram agencies. They'll tell you the same exact thing. I know people who run Facebook ads agencies. They'll tell you the same exact thing. They have to have insiders because they run these big accounts, and if the account gets spammed by bots, the account will get taken down or suspended or whatever, and they have to have insiders, people that actually work at Meta that they can rely on to get the account back. And a lot of the time, they're on payroll. They have to pay these guys monthly, which sucks. But it's something, I guess, if you really want to deal with that, yeah, that's something you can keep doing. And by the way, share your experiences with this down in the description, pin a comment below. I'm not the only one that this has happened to, right? Like there are probably tens, if not hundreds of thousands of coaches out there that have had this exact experience and have had to deal with Facebook, Meta, and Instagram's crappy customer service and them relying way too much on algorithms, right? So comment below if you had this experience. Now, there's a lot of different ways to get this back. I actually made another video on the different ways to get it back. But honestly, to me, Instagram is a nice to have. Facebook is a nice to have. Facebook ads is a nice to have. One great way is to just have a bunch of different accounts. So one account gets taken down, you just start posting on the other account. But that's just such a pain in the ass, right? And most people don't want to deal with that. So the best thing to do is to just not rely on Facebook, Meta, and Instagram. That's the best thing you can do. And that means you should come over to YouTube. Now, you might be thinking, oh, well, YouTube is so hard. It's like way harder to make content on YouTube. I can't just use my phone. Well, actually, I'm using my phone right now. That's what I'm recording this with, right? And I have a cheap little DJI mic here. It's pretty cheap and affordable to use. But even if I was just using the audio straight from my phone, you can tell, like, I'll just switch over to this phone really quickly. And then, that audio is not that great when you're first recording it, but then you can just run it through something like Adobe Podcast. And now it sounds really good, right? So it's really easy to make videos. It's really easy, inexpensive, doesn't take that much time to make videos. And so you can easily just make videos on YouTube. And people that watch on YouTube like to watch long form content. And just about everyone who switches over to YouTube, it ends up making more money for them, right? I've had a ton of clients who were relying on Instagram that switched over to YouTube, and now they're just crushing it on YouTube. And hey, if Instagram works, that's great. But if it doesn't work, they don't have to worry about it. In fact, a lot of the clients just completely switch off their Facebook ads. They don't even worry about Instagram. They're not worried about Facebook marketing or anything like that because they're just tired of dealing with the bullshit, right? So if you are one of those people, I do have a guide down below, a quick start guide on how to start and grow your YouTube channel. And if you really want to get going, if you want a mentor, they'll teach you exactly how to start and grow on YouTube, then book a call with me down in the description below. If you want to see an example of somebody who had to go through this, I actually did a quick case study on one of my clients, Felix, who had this exact problem. And you can check that case study out by clicking right here or here somewhere.